Hello everyone, thank you for being here today. As you can see on the screen, the title of the research is Negotiating University Culture and Conditions, Secondary Organizational Socialization in Physical Education, Teacher Education across international context. Today, I will briefly introduce the background, describe the research process, and then share the key findings and their implications. First, the presentation follows an instruction, method, findings, references, and questions. All the faculty members are important in occupational socialization, and faculty members have different perspective and practice depending on their career stage. Only 3 studies of socialization research have been completed based on faculty members' career stage. Therefore, the purpose of the study was to explore the influence of secondary organizational socialization on European, Asian, and North American-based mid-career faculty members' provision of physical education, teacher education. The primary research questions were what forms of physical education, teacher education did faculty members provide for their pre-service teachers, and what factors aided or undermined mid-career faculty members' provision of physical education, teacher education. This study employed occupational socialization theory as a theoretical framework in which I focused on the secondary organizational socialization phase. Secondary organizational socialization refers to the influence of the university culture and conditions in which faculty members worked. I also employed Jackness orientations to teacher education, in which the primary goal of behavioristic orientation is to achieve effectiveness of pre-service teachers' teaching. Traditional craft orientation emphasizes competent cooperative teachers and faculty members. The main objective of critical inquiry orientation is to encourage pre-service teachers to have a problematic attitude. Lastly, personalistic orientation focuses on promoting pre-service teachers' growth. 6 mid-career sport pedagogy faculty members in different continents with their experience in higher education between 7 and 15 years were purposefully employed for study. 4 qualitative data collection techniques were used during the study. I employed 4-phase data analysis to illustrate the key findings of the study, and established trustworthiness and credibility through triangulation, searching for negative cases, and by employing 2 forms of member checkings. For teams immersed on mid-career faculty members' delivery of physical education, teacher education, these were the critical inquiry, traditional craft, personalistic, and behavioristic orientation. The forms of physical education, teacher education provided by the faculty members in the current study were hybrids of the full orientations to teacher education described by Zeichner. Specifically, the North American-based and European faculty members exposed a hybrid of the critical inquiry, traditional craft, and personalistic orientations. In contrast, the 2 Asian faculty members favored a hybrid of the critical inquiry, traditional craft, and behavioristic orientations. It was noticeable that critical inquiry orientation was the dominant in the current study, although the behavioristic orientation was dominant. The critical inquiry orientation was much less prevalent in earlier studies. The goals of faculty members with critical inquiry orientation included producing teachers who were concerned about broader perspectives in society, for instance of marginality and inequality. The faculty members were also keen for their charges to be aware of unreasonable systems reflected in sports and criticism of traditional physical education curriculum. To realize these goals, faculty members advocate critical-oriented methods, courses, and early field experiences in which their role was to facilitate pre-service teachers' active learning beyond the surface level of thinking. Core issues for pre-service teachers to contemplate was how their teaching might become more democratic and inclusive, in which progressive physical education may change the world. To this end, pedagogies such as peer teaching and discussion about critical issues have been emphasized in their physical education teacher education. I can find Tom's intention to enable pre-service teachers to become reflective practitioners in his document. At the core of faculty members' beliefs with traditional craft orientation, faculty members hope that local physical education teachers will experience knowledgeable and modeled so that pre-service teachers would acquire. Jungkook, for example, attempted to model how to care for and show respect to others during his interactions with the pre-service teachers. Tom emphasized that his key goal was to model pedagogical expertise. For faculty members, he incorporated components of the personality orientation into their physical education teacher education. Central to their goals was that their pre-service teachers' growth and development during coursework, early field experiences, and their culminating internships. For example, Angela hoped that pre-service teachers would become well-adjusted happy humans and learn how to be a good human more important than learning how to be a good basketball player. In addition, faculty members attempted to have a good relationship with pre-service teachers and to create and develop cultures in which pre-service teachers could feel comfortable and communicate with faculty members. Only two of the faculty members exposed features of the behavioristic orientation to teacher education within their physical education teacher education. Both emphasized the importance of holding pre-service teachers accountable for demonstrating that they had mastered various pedagogies, including the acquisition of content knowledge and pedagogical content knowledge, in addition to spectrum of teaching style, effective behaviors, and several instructional models previously emphasized. Factors that aided or undermined the faculty members' provision of physical education teacher education were divided into three broad themes. These were university culture, university conditions, and coping strategies. The findings revealed that two faculty members worked in positive cultures. Tom, Angela, and Jungkook worked in negative cultures, and Colin worked in a neutral culture. Administrators who were supportive, flexible, and gave autonomy support pedagogic colleagues who were reliable and created a sense of community. Other subdisciplinary kinesiologic faculty members who taught physical education teacher education-based exercise science. Graduate students who had the new idea and strength. Pre-service teachers who showed improvement as teachers perceived as factors to organize their physical education teacher education programs as faculty members liked. Conversely, administrators who were consultative and authoritative support pedagogy colleagues who were physically and philosophically disconnected. Other subdisciplinary colleagues who competed for resources or taught pre-service teachers poorly. Pre-service teachers who lacked passion for physical education and had a coaching orientation undermined their provision of physical education teacher education. In contrast to previous research, all the faculty members in the current study mainly worked in unfavorable conditions that undermined their efforts to provide high-quality physical education teacher education. A key issue for this group of faculty members were the lack of resources they were given to conduct physical education teacher education, the lack of high-level local school physical education programs, spending time for administrative duties as program coordinators or department chair. The internal and external bureaucracy surrounding teacher education made things difficult for them. In terms of coping strategies, 4 of the faculty members indicated that they were attempting to strategically refine their situations. The central focus of these 4 faculty members was on implementing programmatic changes by adding more sport pedagogy courses to their physical education teacher education curriculum, reflected their philosophy. Moreover, faculty members also attempted to improve their programs by forging improved relationships with administrators and pre-service teachers. Angela and Olivia, for example, made strenuous efforts to communicate with administrators in a bid to secure more curriculum time and faculty lines for physical education teacher education. By contrast, the main strategy of Tom and Colin for coping with the adverse cultures and the unfavorable conditions was to strategically comply. The key finding of this study was that physical education teacher education provided by faculty members were hybrids of gypnus for orientations to teacher education, in which the dominant orientation was critical inquiry orientation. Also, the culture and conditions in which faculty members worked were mainly negative and unfavorable, in which the majority of the faculty members strategically refined the culture and conditions. The findings may be the catalyst for change by those personnel in universities and may help future faculty members avoiding suffering from a reality shock when they take their first positions. Future research in this line should include study of regular faculty members and studies of female and minority faculty members with a more critical lens. These are the references for this presentation. And if you have any questions about the research, please reach out to me. I look forward to further discussion. That's all I have prepared for today. Thank you for your time and attention.